We only this morning sat there thinking perhaps Disenchant was just too good, that it needed to be slower and perhaps more cumbersome and difficult to cast. Maybe if it was more difficult to cast, it could have some sort of brand new upside, a tacked on effect, perhaps even the fabled words draw a card. Historically, when a spell is more difficult to cast, it can be pushed in power level and what it can do. Chain Whirler was so good in part because it was thought that it would be difficult to cast. But then people just played it in a mono red deck. Honestly, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's 3 red pips. Like, mountains produce red mana, so you just play it in a mono red deck. I don't know what more to say. How could anyone think that was going to be hard? But all jokes aside, when a card is harder to splash in the case of Chain Whirler, or if it's got multiple pips of different colours, it means you have to be playing those colours to play it, and therefore it can be pushed a little bit because it can't be played in every deck. Famously, one of the big reasons that Thragtusk was just so absurd was that it had one singular green pip. So it was easy to cast in any mana base that could produce just one green pip of mana. It was easily splashable and started showing up all over the shop as a very easy auto include because it was just so good. Supreme Verdict is another example of this. It is strictly better than Day of Judgment because it has a blue pip in its mana cost. It cannot be countered. So with all that in mind, may I introduce you to the new, latest hot meme, the MTG equivalent of a shitpost. It's Divine Gambit. It's a disenchanted sorcery speed, but it can exile the thing you're disenchanting. But wait, it can hit creatures too? My god, the power creep. But wait, there's more. It will also put your opponent miles and miles ahead by putting a 5-drop into play, or worse, an Ugin or some shit, approximately like 60 to 70% of the time. The reason this card has people on Twitch chat asking me to talk about it, the reason it has created hot and spicy memes like this one, is because of a wider ongoing joke and genuine concern that white is kinda shafted. This is mainly birthed from the fact that white strength simply do not scale to multiplayer and therefore commander. So as Wizards designs more and more and pushes commander more and more as its premier format, people are expecting them to do the same for each of the colours. And we keep seeing a lot of cards that are designed to be better, to scale better into multiplayer by mentioning each opponent or planeswalkers that can be activated in every turn. But white is categorically not allowed to draw cards, for example, and its fundamentally power-defining characteristic is the idea of setting rules. I mean, mass removal is the other one, and it still has that to an extent, but rule setting has always been a big part of the white decks in competitive Magic and the cards that people associate with white. There is a reason that white is associated with stacks. However, now those things bleed out and are being adopted by blue and black quite a lot. Not that they never had it in the first place, but it's becoming the place that you expect to see it. Couple that with the fact that there's other effects that white did, like mass land destruction, that Wizards of the Coast do not want to start using again. Wizards have acknowledged these issues in tweets, in Marrow's Tumblr blog, in the episode of Dice to Remove from myself and the Professor sat down with Ari. There's been acknowledgement of this, and they talk about how to improve upon this sort of feedback and this general feel, things will take time. It'll take years because they work like 2 years ahead of what we see. They literally work in the future like temporal wizards. So it is reasonable that people are excited to see what white can do in the future. We have Mangara and Keeper of the Accord and Seraphic Greatsword, which all show varying levels of promise. Honestly, Seraphic Greatsword might be one of my least favourite cards I've put in a long time. It's such a garbage mythic. But as we see more Hull Breaches and blue spells that now exile artifacts and now red counter spells as well, it's getting people a little up in arms about how white doesn't seem to be allowed to flex out of its space in the colour pie, whilst everyone else just shits and eats where they want in other people's territory. Like, every colour is taking huge diarrhea dumps wherever the fuck they want. But meanwhile, Mentor of the Meek's being disguised as a colour pie break and blue can now exile artifacts? Like, what the fuck is that? So back to this fucking card. It is bad. It is terribly, terribly bad. But in a way that I kinda love. It's a skill testing limited card where I guess in the late game when people are top decking empty handed it's going to be good. And it'll be marginally fun in Commander in the hands of people that no one likes. You know those people who like, they're not there to win. All 3 of you are playing like efficient, fun, but you're looking to try and win and there's one player at the table looking to kingmake someone. This card is a kingmate card. A political card, some people might call it, but let's be honest, it's gonna kingmate. I do think everyone needs to calm down a little bit. This card is not necessarily an indication of the future of white. It just comes at a bad time when everyone is riffing and joking and memeing about what white can do. So it kind of, it's like a punchline to a joke that no one was expecting, and it is funny. This card is genuinely funny. So why does Divine Gambit suck? So firstly, well, white's always had Disenchant. This is the obvious comparison here. And Disenchant is a powerful magic card. Green gets this as well in Naturalize and gets it on bodies and stuff, but let's not get in. Disenchant is so good and so powerful and so unique in its application of being an instant speed spell that can come out of nowhere that Disenchant still sees sideboard play in decks in Legacy. Primarily Death and Taxes, but on occasion in the sideboard of other control decks too. So Disenchant, this iconic idea that white can blow up artifacts and enchantments is so good. How does Divine Gambit fail so badly? Well, first of all, it's sorcery speed. It's slower, it has to be cast on your turn, you have to tap out to use it. Secondly, it's double white, making it harder to cast off of splashable lands. Now, it's not super hard, right? But where Chain Whirler was triple red and good, this is double white and not good. So, yeah. You can exile an artifact, creature, or enchantment, which... Okay, so this is interesting because it can get rid of creatures. So it has some utility, some very powerful utility, that I guess means the comparison to Disenchant starts to fall down, and it needs to be compared more to, I don't know, Oblivion Ring, for example. It is an opponent controls. A lot of people have been reading this and misreading it and thinking target your own stuff and basically 2 mana, sack a thing, show and tell in a big creature. You can't. This is not comparable to show and tell. It only hits your opponent's stuff. It's more like a polymorph. That player may put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. So this thing deals with artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Can't deal with planeswalkers, but your opponent can put a planeswalker into play. In Vintage or Legacy, it could be an Oko. In current standard, it could be an Ugin. Why this doesn't deal with planeswalkers, I do not know. White is meant to be the colour of broad, wide, and powerful answers, and this can't answer the most problematic permanent type in Magic. Next up, you want your answers to be efficient, right? You want a 1 mana Swords to Plowshare to kill a 5-drop, and you feel that you spent less mana than they have to kill it, and you feel up in the exchange. Here you're spending 2 mana to kill, I don't know, a 3, a 4, a 5, even a 10-drop, let's say, and there is potential for them to put another big fucking thing into play. So the efficiency is bad. I like the design space. I like the idea that white is starting to have things that take things away from other players like Oblivion Ring does temporarily, but when they get the thing back, they don't get back the original thing. It's not blow up your Oblivion Ring, break my guy out of prison. It's like Sky Cave Apparition where they get an illusion, or in this case they get something out of their hand. But this is so high variance and so potentially damning. Like, you kill a 3-drop to preserve your life total and they put their 4 or 5-drop into play. They might not, so there's variance there, but it's just so fucking bad. Now, coupled with hand attack like Thoughtseize or Inquisition or Kozilek or whatever the standard equivalent is right now, you can disrupt their hand and know if Divine Gambit's just going to be a straight up 1 for 0 and get rid of the creature and they get nothing. But even then, they can put a land into play because it says a fucking permanent. Not a card of the same type, but a fucking permanent. If this said a card of the same type, this might be an actually really interesting card that could exile an artifact or an enchantment when you don't believe your opponent's got another copy of that in play, or a creature would be more of a risk because most people play a lot of creatures. But instead, it's any fucking permanent your opponent wants. And that is why this card is fucking garbage. Now, it could be fun in Commander, like I said, to play politics. It can also be fun to king make someone with this too by saying, do you have something good in hand? So, I don't begrudge this card existing. It just came at a time when people are going to react badly to it because people are asking, like, where's the next good white rare? Where's our card advantage engine compared to the shit that green and blue gets? So, all in all, I think this is very funny. And if you clip this video thinking I was going to, like, defend this card, it was... The title and the thumbnail are sarcastic. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. Will I be accused of clickbait? I don't know, and I don't fucking care. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.